going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are better than ever. I'm feeling it today. Having a good day. Having a great week, honestly. Cubs baseball is back. It's been a minute since we did a Shy Kid podcast. I appreciate you guys for sticking with me and rocking out. We've had so much going on, from Chicago Sky and WNBA related stuff to Pros and Joes with Jim Cross, that is now on the Give Us a Shot network. So make sure you give us a like, give us a follow if you haven't already, because we have some of the best interactions, some of the best interviews with some of the best players in minor league baseball and soon to be in Major League Baseball as well. So make sure you give us a like and subscribe to the Give Us a Shot network and In Off the Bench podcast to get all your Pros and Joes content. We will be having a lot more coming up within the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to spoil nothing, but I'll keep it at that. I'll keep it at that because I'm no good. I'm no good at keeping secrets. Everybody knows I'm like Tom Holland of keeping secrets. But man, let's get into it, man. We got a lot to talk about. The Chicago Cubs are back and they're better than ever. We have won 20 of our last 30 games, 5 games in a row after sweeping the Pittsburgh Pirates. We are now on the cusp. I say on the cusp because we still have 1 game left and you never know how this shit's going to play out. We could potentially sweep the Washington Nationals. These are 2 series that the Chicago Cubs desperately need to win right now. We are 4 games back in the last wild card spot, obviously held by the Atlanta Braves at this very moment. They lost today. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, not a lot of time. So we understand today's the last day of August, assumingly. I believe, what is today, August 31st? Yeah, it's August 31st. Last day of August. We're headed into September. This is either the point of the season where I have false hope or the point of the season where we go on one of the greatest runs in Chicago Cubs history, baby. But that is yet to remain to be seen. We will have to wait. We will have to see what's going on. I'm excited about it nonetheless, man. I mean, this is Chicago Cubs baseball. This is what we've been waiting for. Let me take off my headset because it's messing up my legs right now. But I want to get into it today. I want to have a legitimate conversation. I'm not sitting here, trying to sell anybody anything. I am sitting here with my unbiased, real opinion of the 2024 Chicago Cubs and where I think we have the potential to finish the year. Right now, the Chicago Cubs are second in the National League Central. Obviously, we don't see ourselves catching the Brewers anytime soon. I believe they're 7+ games ahead, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's a very tall mountain. It's an uphill battle at the end of the day, man. And I don't necessarily think it's in the realm of possibility to catch up for the Brewers to win the division at this point, but to make that final wild card spot with the second half schedule that we have, there is no excuse for the Chicago Cubs not to get that final wild card spot. And I say that because when you look at the strength of schedule in the second half and the remainder of this season, obviously, we just finished off a sweep to the Pittsburgh Pirates. We are on the cusp of sweeping the Nationals right now. We're going back to Wrigley Field following that to face off against against Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates again. If you can potentially take 2 more games off of the Pirates, maybe even sweep them again if all goes well and according to plan, you are in a serious position to potentially be right ahead in that final wild card spot. Obviously, after that, you have the Yankees and you have the Dodgers, and there's a lot that goes into that. My personal opinion, if you split the series with those guys, I think that's a win in itself. You know what I mean? I mean, the Yankees have been cooking. They have been on an absolute tear. And Anthony Rizzo, how you darn, might come back just in time for the Chicago Cubs series in Wrigley Field. It'll be the first time he's back in Wrigley since 2021. So that would be incredible. I got my hat on deck. I'm excited for it. If Rizzo does come back, you better believe we have some amazing content underway. Anthony Rizzo related stuff with Chinook, stuff with my guy Jim. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun nonetheless. But following the Yankees and the Dodgers series, the Chicago Cubs are, again, facing the Oakland A's. I believe they face the Nationals one more time. And if I'm not mistaken, the Colorado Rockies. Somebody can quote me if I'm mistaken. I don't have the schedule up right next to me. But nonetheless, I mean, we're in a great position. We are in a great position right now to be beating on teams who have already waved the white flag by September 1st. You know what I mean? They're really just focusing on the September call-ups, and that's pretty much it. They got nothing else going on. So I'm excited about it. And we'll get into September call-ups in another episode or maybe later tonight if we have time. We're talking about guys like Owen Casey, Balestros, and so many others. So it's going to be interesting to see, who potentially does get called up. A Caleb Killian could potentially get called up as well. Jordan Wicks is obviously getting the start just in not too long. I don't know if it's tomorrow or if it's during the Pirates series. But it's going to be interesting, man. I mean, there's a lot of different ways it can go. There's a lot of different conversations floating around right now about what this team could potentially look like. But how did we get here? How did we win 5 games in a row? How did we win 11 of our last 14? 20 of our last 30? The Chicago Cubs have been on a tear, and I've gotten to see it first person, the evolution from the beginning of the year, starting off pretty hot, then falling completely off the face of the earth, up until the last month. And I think it all starts with Pete Crow Armstrong. And I know it's crazy to say that, especially for where we were towards the end of last year when he goes 0 for 10 in his September call-up, and then the beginning of this year where he was fighting to even make the opening day roster. And I think, you have those conversations internally about, are these guys going to pan out? We have all the prospects in the world. We have 7 top 100 prospects. We have one of the best farm systems in baseball. But when is that going to translate into one of the best rosters in baseball? Pete Crow Armstrong had a lot of questions when he came into the 2024 season, and I think he's addressed a lot of them. Right now, 26 stolen bases on the year. I'm not sure if those are all consecutive. At one point, I know he was 23 of 23, if I'm not mistaken. So, he's been on an absolute tear. He's one of the youngest Chicago Cubs players since Ryan Sandberg to have some of these accolades that he's been having. Currently, right now, man, I mean, Pete Crow Armstrong, obviously on the year, wasn't amazing. Let me pull it up really quickly because I don't have it at hand. I know on the year, it doesn't seem very impressive when you look at a guy like Pete Crow Armstrong. But I think at the end of the day, you have to look at what he's been able to put together in the last 30 plus days. On the year right now, he's batting 230. I know that's not super impressive, but you have to look at what he's been able to do over the last, let's say, 30 days of the season, because on the year right now, like I said, he's batting 230. He's not super productive thus far in 282 at-bats. He has 31 runs, 65 hits, 7 home runs, 37 RBIs, 26 stolen bases, 230 average, and a 282 OBP and a 669 OPS. I know that doesn't sound great whatsoever, but when you look at what he's put together in the last 30 days, the last 30 games, he is batting .314 with 32 hits, 4 home runs, 20 RBIs, and 19 runs scored. So, I mean, and you look at that, I don't know how many stolen bases over that stretch, but with 26 stolen bases and Gold Glove defense in center field every single day, Pete Crow Armstrong is putting together one of the better second halves in all of baseball. And I think that's been such a huge part to why we've had so much success, because he is helping at the bottom of that order that was just dead in the water come late May. Like we really had nothing going on. So for him to be able to turn it around the way he has, I have been insanely impressed by Pete Crow Armstrong. And I had a lot of questions about him, by June, July. I was wondering, is he ever going to figure it out? And obviously, this is a 21-year-old kid who just flew up the rankings in the New York Mets organization and the Chicago Cubs organization. You got to remember, this is a guy that didn't go to college. He opted out, could have went to Vandy, could have went to other places, but he decided to play pro ball at a young age. He's 21 years old, and he's figuring it out. Batting 300 plus over the last 30 games is insanely impressive, especially at this point during the season. And he's got Paul Skeens running around, freaking out, and he's sliding in the bases left and right, inside the park, home runs. I mean, he's doing his thing. So yeah, it all starts with Pete Crow Armstrong. I'm incredibly impressed. I'm not going to sit here today and say face of the franchise quite yet, but he's well on his way to be the focal point of this Chicago Cubs team moving forward, both offensively and defensively. So, I love what we're seeing. I love what's going on with him right now, man. I mean, you couldn't get any better. Couldn't get any better. I want to address a couple comments really quickly, just because I do see them, but we're also live in a bunch of other places. So I'm trying to figure it out, trying to read both at the same time. Judge MVP, definitely. I could see it. I could definitely see it. But it's going to be one of those things where, it's going to come down to health. I think if he can finish September healthy, there's no doubt in my mind that Aaron Judge is the MVP of 2024. Let me make sure my camera is focused really quickly. We've been having some camera technical difficulties lately. Don't know what that's about, but I paid too much money for this camera, so I have no idea why. But man, it's been fun. It's been fun. You see Dansby Swanson's back at it. I mean, he's starting to finally hit. That's really what we've been waiting for. You have Nico Horner's been figuring it out. You have one of the best backup catchers in the entire league. But before we get into that, before we get into Christian and everything else, we got to talk about Miguel Amaya. Miguel Amaya is having a great second half as well. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He's starting to hit for power. This is a guy who, I felt like was very rushed, who I felt like, shouldn't have been in the show last year coming off Tommy John surgery. David Ross brings him up and you're kind of wondering like, what's the purpose? What is the reason? What is the reason? But he's finally starting to figure it out. So I know you guys don't want to hear me just babble. I know that's not why we're here. Manny's in the comments right here. He says, "You think we will make the playoffs?" And that's the conversation. That's the conversation. And then Amanda said, "Are you a fan of college football?" Yes, ma'am, I am. Go Big Orange, Tennessee Volunteers all the way. Samson for Heisman, excited about it. But back to that, to have a real conversation about the Chicago Cubs making playoffs. This is the part of the year. This is that time of the year where the Chicago Cubs pull me back in. They pull me back in. It's unfortunate that I'm going to sit up here today after telling everybody a month ago that I thought we were done. It's going to be interesting, but I think we do. I think we do. And if we don't, then we riot. You know what I mean? Then we have to have a real conversation. Because we're at a point right now where we're having a lot of success, and I'm at a point where I'm not willing to just lay down and just say that it's okay that we didn't make the playoffs. Like, no, you have Shota Imanaga, who not only has Rookie of the Year candidacy, but was an all-star in his rookie year. You have Justin Steele. You have one of the best rotations in baseball. Your bullpen's finally figuring it out. Your offense has put up over 80 runs in the last 8 days. 80 runs in the last 8 days. If you tell me that we missed the playoffs with all of those things and Craig Counsell combined, we got serious problems. We got serious problems if you're a Cubs fan. I mean, Jed Hoyer has a lot of questions to answer if we end up missing the playoffs. I don't care how we started the year. I'm in a what have you done for me lately league. That's what it is at the end of the day. Favorite softball player? Listen. I had one. Promise, right hand up to God, I had one. She went to Duke. I forget her name. I'm sorry. I'll get back to you. I promise. I promise though. I will remember her name. I'm sorry, but that caught me off guard. It's just one of those things though, man. It's just one of those things. We're gonna have to figure it out. What is her name? I'm gonna have to look it up. Duke softball player. Chat. We're stopping this for 2 seconds. I'm answering questions. And we will be talking about Miguel Amaya as well. Duke softball player. I have a favorite softball player. She plays at Duke. Forget it. I'll figure it out later. We'll make a video on it. I'm sorry. But in all seriousness, man, it's exciting. It's exciting if you're with the Cubs at this part of the season. Miguel Amaya has been phenomenal over the last 30 plus days. Pete Crow Armstrong has been phenomenal over the last 30 plus days. Pete's batting over 300. Miguel Amaya is hitting for power. Defensively, Amaya still isn't where I'd want him to be. I don't think any of us are going to sit up here today and think that the Cubs have the defensive catcher of the future, either in the farm system or in the Chicago Cubs organization. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but with that, we definitely are making progress. We definitely are seeing potential in Amaya, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see what he could potentially put together this offseason going into 2025. So I loved what we've seen thus far. Obviously, like I said, man, I mean, you have the A's coming up, the Pirates again. You just played the Pirates and the Nationals. You're going to be playing other poor teams come September outside of the Yankees and Dodgers. You are really in a position to have success. And I will take nothing less than a playoff appearance. That's really where I'm at. This team is too good. This team is too good. They're putting together too good of baseball. Like I said, 80 plus runs in the last 8 days. I mean, they've been phenomenal. They have been phenomenal. They're putting up 2023 Chicago Bears numbers. They're putting up 7 plus runs a game. Like, it's crazy. They had 18 runs the other night. I refuse to believe that this is just another retooling year. You can't sell me on that. You can't sell me on that when PCA's batting 300 in August. Can't sell me on that when a Miguel Amaya looks like Barry Bonds at Wrigley Field. You know what I mean? You got guys showing up and showing out every single day. So I mean that's really where I'm at, man. I mean there's a lot of levels to this. There's a lot of different conversations that we can have as fans. You know what I mean? Like I'm always yapping. I'm always complaining about something. Nothing's ever going to be perfect with any ball club, but when you have so many great players on this roster and that's not equating to wins, I think you start to really get frustrated because you're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. And you're not hearing anything from Craig Counsell because he'll just tell you, well, we didn't score any runs today, so that's why we lost. Or we pitched bad today, or we didn't hit, like basic answers. And we had a lot of questions. And for us to be in this situation right now, to be able to turn it around the way we did, I mean, it's it's the Cubs way. It's the Cubs way because right when I get out, they pull me back in. And that's really just what it is. Every single time I'm out on this team, they pull me back in. So it's great to be back. It's great to be better than ever. I'm excited about what the next 30 plus days are going to look like for Chicago Cubs baseball. But that's what it's going to come down to. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys being here. This is just a quick little live. We're going to be doing our Chicago Sky recap tomorrow. It's going to be a long episode. We're going to be talking a lot. Everything from Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese to what we expect from the Chicago Sky in the last part of this season. We got 4 home games left. We're fighting for that final playoff spot, and we'll see what happens. But make sure you hit that follow button if you haven't already. Check us out on Give Us a Shot Network. Man, go Cubs, baby. That's all I got to say. I'm not trying to jinx us, so I'll leave it at that. Go Cubs, baby.
Give them a shot to do what?